Hello and welcome back to another video. Today going to be talking you through the recent Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown first reveal of gameplay. Going to be talking over everything that was shown, a few things that particularly caught my attention, and everything else I noticed during the premiere late last week, as well as of course giving my thoughts on this highly anticipated title after seeing all of this new information. Let's start with the initial trailer that was shown before looking at gameplay and in more depth at all the other things. This trailer section started by showing the Solar Hotel and then shows off several other beautiful looking locations. We get a first glimpse of roads in the city and what they may be like to drive, and then we cut to a Nissan GTR cutting through the traffic in a tunnel. This is apparently going to be the longest tunnel in a current open world racing game at least. They also show off a Corvette ZR1 and Ford Raptor weaving through traffic in the rain, giving an almost street racing atmosphere to the game at this point. This cinematic section of the premiere finishes with the cars pulling up outside the hotel. Then though, we move on to the exciting and probably most important part of this. We finally got to see some actual gameplay rather than just cinematic trailer things made in engine. This starts, as you might expect, in one of the apartments in the Solar Hotel, having just driven there in the trailer, showing the view out the windows and the interior. This, although it looks pretty huge, is apparently not the biggest or most expensive room or apartment in the hotel. We then, of course, head out into the lobby where we see some other players that are all part of the Sharps clan, before heading out to meet with the rival Streets clan to show off some actual driving gameplay in this game. Together they show us what driving as a group looks like, including crashes, and how the cars kind of react, which on first glance looks quite bouncy and a bit floaty, to be honest, but we'll talk more about that in a minute. Some more interesting cars are shown here, including the rather oddball choice of the Porsche Panamera Sport Turismo, which I do love that they've added something completely different, an electric estate effectively, but really cool different things to have in there. I feel like it fits the game perfectly. I also straight away noticed some interesting traffic cars, including a Mustang, but again we'll go into some more detail in traffic and cars spotted later in today's video. Later in the premiere itself, they participate in a race for the very first time. It's actually a city race with parked cars along the road, which I love how it is with the narrow roads with the cars parked down the sides. Makes it particularly challenging, especially in a race event like this. I know this is super early footage, but there were a few other things that I didn't notice, as well as it looking slightly floaty, but we'll get onto that in a minute. But I noticed, for example, that there are no custom plates on the cars, at least at this stage. I think at the moment, though, they're neither confirmed nor denied, so that could well be a feature closer to the time. Throughout the gameplay, I did notice as well that there seemed to be a great sense of speed, which is something a lot of games, Forza, are lacking these days, so that's great to see. Before that race, though, they actually went for a tour of the two different clans' headquarters, so let's take a bit of a look at them. Starting with the Streets HQ in the dock area, which I feel like is a perfect location for it, again, having that kind of street racing vibe. Weirdly, you can sort of dance in the clubhouses, which is very strange. Anyway, there are also leaderboards in both HQs showing how the clans are performing compared to each other in lots of different metrics. I think you can probably head over to that and scroll through and look at some other things other than what was shown here. And that was kind of it, really, for the Streets headquarters. So let's now take a look at the Sharps headquarters over to the west of the city. This has a much more kind of relaxed atmosphere, almost, obviously very expensive looking, fitting that test drive feeling very well. It has a private pool in an area that only the Sharps can access. So this, by the way, in both HQs, whichever clan you're in, you can go to the headquarters of either of them, but you'll only be able to into the sort of private area of the one you are part of, so choose wisely depending on which one you prefer. I think I'll probably be going for the Sharps. That's kind of the way I'm leaning so far, at least. So at a few points during the stream when they were setting destinations for the next area to drive to, the map was actually shown off. Most of it, I think. There's a little bit at the bottom section that was cut off, But on a closer inspection, one of the first things I noticed was that we can see 13 car dealership icons, although 14 were previously confirmed, but none of the ones on the map would fit for some of the Japanese cars that have been revealed, or the Alpine A110, which was spotted in the lobby in this trailer. So I think maybe there will be a sort of general sports dealership of some sort, as well as the ones shown to fit those kind of missing cars into. The Lamborghini and Ferrari ones are going to be in the same locations as the real-life showrooms, which I think is absolutely brilliant. That's just an insane level of detail. Obviously, it works for the ones that are specific brands, but for the mixed showrooms, that's more difficult. But great to see Lamborghini and Ferrari in the locations they are in reality. I particularly can't wait to head into that Lamborghini showroom, as they were absent as a brand from TDU2. That and the two British dealerships, of course, can't wait to have a look around those. I will go into more detail on the car logos in a minute when we talk about some of the other cars that were spotted in the trailer. As well as that, each district on the map seems to tell you how many wrecks, which of course were previously already confirmed, dealerships, workshops, gas stations, and radiant prizes have been unlocked in each district. And it looks like there's quite a few just in the one district shown, so I think there's plenty of things for us to find whilst exploring what's actually going to be a pretty big island. I believe it's like 15 kilometers end to end, so it might take a bit of a while to drive around, particularly with the dense, kind of tight streets and things in the city, for example. There are also some car park logos, which hints at, well, car parks. Maybe for car meets, I think, is kind of the theory behind those at the moment. It will be interesting to see if that's what it is, and if it is, how that works. Like I say, this only shows kind of just over half of the map. You can't see the very bottom, so I can't wait to see the rest, including, hopefully, the 14th and final dealership. The roads themselves do also look great, great fun, but we already kind of knew the layout roughly, as it's a replica of real-world Hong Kong Island, but still great to see it on screen as part of the game itself, and it looks like a lot of fun. So yes, I did mention a few cars already, mostly the obvious ones, so I'm now going to go over some more things I spotted. It's possibly I've missed some here, but let's try and go over some of the less obvious ones, as well as kind of compiling all the ones that I mentioned earlier. Please be aware, though, that some of these were just spotted in posters and such, so might just be placeholders. They're probably in the game, but there is a chance they won't be, as with all of them, really, because, again, with pre-release footage of Forza, for example, there were Lancias, which never came, well, will soon come to the game, but didn't, so for now, let's assume these are in the game, but there's a chance they may not be. First off, we have the Porsche Taycan Cross Turismo, which I talked about earlier. There's a Lotus, possibly an Evora GT430, I think, in this poster. Again, in a poster, so potentially not in-game, but I think it probably will be. There's the Chevrolet Corvette ZR1, which is quite prominent in the gameplay, as was the Porsche that I mentioned a couple of cars ago, and the Nissan GTR, as well as the Ford Raptor, which I think we previously had confirmed already. There was also an Aston Martin Vantage shown in a poster, and the Alpine A110 spotted in the hotel lobby, and a Dodge Challenger SRT8 widebody spotted in the race. There was also a Camaro ZL1 1LE in the small print, more or less confirming that car for the game. Returning again to the dealership icons, these all show different car models, apart from Lamborghini and Ferrari, which have their logo as their logo in the map, as they're exclusive to those brands. But the two American dealerships show a 2005-2006 era Ford GT, and I think a new Shelby GT500 on the other one. The British dealers show a McLaren 12C and a Caterham. The classic dealerships show a Mustang, and I think the other one a classic Alpine A110. Not 100% sure on that one. German dealerships show a Porsche 918 and BMW i8 Roadster, both of which have already been confirmed, I think. Luxury shows a Bugatti Chiron, again, I think confirmed. Italian shows an Abarth 500 or 595 of some description, again, kind of confirming that Stellantis cars will be in the game, which is great to see. They seem to be opening up to a lot of cars, a lot of games, those cars having been confirmed for Forza in the next update as well. And the off-road dealership shows a Mercedes G-Wagon. Again, that was already confirmed. I believe it's a G65, so the V12, not the V8. Now, some of those, like I say, are already confirmed, but the others, there is a possibility they won't be in the game. Although, to be honest, I find it a little bit odd if we weren't actually able to buy the cars in the dealerships that they're the icons for, if that makes sense. So I think most of those things will be in the game. Again, some of them I'm not quite sure about, and some of them I don't know the exact model. For example, I don't know which Caterham's going to be in the British car dealer. But yeah, it gives us a good idea of some of the things that might be in the game. So, yeah, speaking of Alfa Romeo, that is also confirmed for the game. We saw a Mito in the traffic, and yeah, sounds like that will be in the game alongside a Bath and all the other Stellantis things that are missing. So it's good to see those coming to more games. Like I say, interestingly, Forza have just confirmed the return of Stellantis Group, which includes Alfa Romeo. So something must have changed with the licensing for those companies, I think. I really hope so, because it would be great to see more models in games. As well as the Mito traffic car, though, there was some Mustangs and Fiats as such, as well as other unlicensed vehicles like vans and taxis and things. So it's an interesting mix, but it is good to see licensed traffic as well. And like I say, it looks quite densely populated on the roads, parked and driving, so that's good to see. Moving on to then some of how the game's going to work, car functionality and other things like that. First of all, the FRIM was shown on screen, which for those who haven't played TDU2 stands for Free Ride Instant Money, which returns from that game, which is an interesting feature to see return, essentially letting you bank money for performing skills in free roam. Think of it a bit like the skill chain in Forza Horizon, if you've played that game, but not this one maybe, but allowing you to earn money rather than points. Although interestingly, this system actually predates the Forza Horizon one by quite a long way, I think. They also gave a brief glimpse of how levels will work in this game. There's going to be a clan level, a main kind of overall level, and a rank for online racing, so there will be ranked racing in this, which is great to see. A lot of open world games miss that out for some reason. There is, of course, also a photo mode, as with most games, which is opened by pressing the down arrow on the D-pad, and there is Alice, whatever that is. I really hope it's not like Forza's Anna system, because that is quite irritating. But anyway, as well as that, there is, of course, a wheel of car functionality, which is one of the major things of previous test drive games, the amount you can do with your car. So you can toggle your lights, your wipers, both indicators, left and right, hazard lights, roof and window functionality, kind of building on the system in TDU2. This is a huge feature to see return, and those kind of functions did need to be kept in from previous games, so it is great to see that that's been carried forward from TDU2, but developed on and added even more features to it. Let's hope, though, that all the convertible roofs work, not just two cars like in Forza, but if TDU2 is anything to go by, it's going to be applied to every convertible, and they will all have some kind of animation. Even the Targa top ones will kind of sort of dissolve into non-existence. Anyway, that's just the car functions wheel. There's also a wheel for social, communication, and radio to control all aspects of everything in your car when you're driving about. That radio apparently has 10 hours of music on each of the 6 radio stations, so 60 hours of music in total. I just hope at least one of them or some of it is copyright free so we can actually listen to it, but if not, I will be playing around with that and seeing what's in there off stream and video. As with previous titles, there is also accurate road signage, so you could navigate by them in theory, unlike most open world races. A little bit weird bundling these two things together, but the physics and graphics of the game is what we're going to talk about next. To me, the cars did look a little bit floaty, which I said earlier on, but those who have played it seem to say the physics and handling is really good. Slightly more realistic than Forza Horizon even, which is kind of the best kind of benchmark of an open world game at the moment. So I imagine it as kind of feeling kind of more like Gran Turismo, somewhere in between Forza Horizon and full simulation, somewhere a little bit better than Forza Motorsport even, somewhere around there. Do remember it's on the same engine as the recent WRC games, so it should in theory be somewhat similar to those, which I think they're kind of on level with Gran Turismo, I kind of think, although I haven't played them a lot. Which matches quite well with it being between Forza and full simulation. As for the graphics, they look pretty good, but of course not quite on the level of games like Gran Turismo or Forza Horizon, but still pretty decent. And remember, this is alpha footage, it's not the finished result, so it'll probably look even better on release next year. And when it premiered live, it was at 1080p, so YouTube compression kind of made it look worse than it was, so a lot of people saying it looks like a mobile graphics or PS3 game. It already will look better than that if you take the compression into account, and by the time it releases, it will be even more polished. Remember, they've got to do the open beta kind of stuff, because that was just alpha footage, so it will improve quite a lot by the time it comes out. And also, for those saying it's like a mobile game, I'd like to know what kind of phone you're playing on, because that sounds incredible. Now on to some of the other important information for this game to finish up with. It's now not showing Switch as a platform at the end of the trailers and premieres like this, so it's only going to be on PlayStation, Xbox and PC, which is actually quite a relief, I think, because I feel like that might have held the game back a bit and meant it didn't play as well or look as good, just wouldn't be optimized for those other platforms, so I'm kind of glad to see that. They have also now confirmed that it's going to launch in early 2024 rather than the fourth quarter of this year, which I'm actually quite happy about. I know it's another delay, but it means we can really enjoy Motorfest and Motorsport, and this won't be clashing with those. Before that, though, they are going to be very soon announcing the beta, so if you want to get involved with that, go to testdriveunlimited.com and sign up for the newsletters, so then you'll get notified when that becomes a possibility, which I've already done. I can't wait to hopefully try it out. You can also now add it to your wishlist on PlayStation and on Steam, which I've also already done, because I'm super excited for this game. That, though, is going to do it for today's video on Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown. I am, again, super excited after seeing all of this for this game's release, and hopefully we'll be able to play the beta soon. I'll certainly be signing up for it as soon as that information comes through, hopefully in next month's newsletter. If not, though, I still can't wait to see what this game is like when it fully releases early next year. For now, though, for today's video, that is going to be all, so thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back with the next video very soon.